Hi class, this is Mr. Edmund speaking. This video will actually be talking about variables and how we make use of variables to keep track of scores in a game that you have created in Scratch. So how do we actually create a variable? In this screen down here, you can actually see that there is a variable tab. We click on make a variable button, and there's this dialog box that will actually ask for the name of the variable that you want to actually create. So since you're creating a variable that will actually keep track of the score itself, we type in the word score. We click OK. Notice that the word score with the number 0 actually appears on the top left hand corner of the stage, and you actually see a score icon that is on the left of your Scratch program. So to actually manipulate the data, or rather the score in the variable itself, there are three blocks that you have to take note of. First of all is the set score to 0. For every game that you've actually created, we need to actually set the score to 0 to actually keep count of the number of maybe goals or targets that we've actually shot. So in this case, let's say I click on control, and every time I click on the green flag itself, the score will reset to 0. If we want to actually increase the score itself, we can use the block change score by 1. And in this case, when I actually use the space button, and on every time I actually press the space button, the score increases. To actually reduce the score, we use the same change score by 1, but we actually replace the 1 with a -1. And in this case, I'll be using a down arrow. So every time when I press on the down arrow, the score decreases. I press on the space button, the score increases, and when I click on the green flag, the score resets to 0. So these are the three basic blocks that you need to know to manipulate the score in a variable. So what exactly is a variable? If you look at the stage area, we actually see a basket and 5 balls numbered from 1 to 5. Let's say we have just created a shooting game in Scratch, and we want to keep track of the number of targets that we have shot. So after we shot down one target, the ball that's number 1 will go into the basket, and your score will be 1. If you shoot down 2 targets, the ball number 2 will go into the basket, and your score will be 2. Let's say we missed the 3rd target. Hence, the ball that's number 2 will come out of the basket, and your score will be 1. And we miss the 4th target itself, the ball that's number 1 will come out of the basket, and your score will be 0. Hence, therefore, you actually notice that a variable is just a container where you can actually keep track of the numbers that's going in and out of the basket. So if you put in 1, the score will be 1. If you put in 2, the score will be 2. If you put in 3, the score will be 3, and so forth. Let's go for an example. In this game, a shooting game itself, we'll be actually keeping track of the number of targets that's being shot, and the number of targets that's being shot will actually be reflected on the top left hand corner of the game. Notice what happens to the score when I click on the green flag, and whenever I shoot down a target with the target rectangle on the sprite itself. So let's take a look at it. Notice that as I shoot down the target itself, the score increases. And if I do not shoot the target, the score remains at 7. So that's the 8th target, 9th target, and the last target. So essentially, a variable is basically a container where it actually keeps track of the number of score. It can be goals if you create a soccer game, or the number of targets that you shot if you're creating a shooting game, and you can actually manipulate the score within the variable by itself by using the change score by 1 block or change score by -1 block. If we want to reset the score itself, we can actually use the set score to 0 block. So in summary, a variable is basically just a container where you can actually manipulate the score, be it from 3 to 2 to 1 to 0, or we can actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Thank you for watching.